fought the rest, now try the best!
In a new news article, the Virtua Fighter developers are giving us some brand new information on the game. I don't know how much of these things will change when the game actually releases or a beta or whatever. So this is just like very early direction. So I just want to go through these bullet points. There's about 15 here, and it just gives us an idea of everything that they're going to do, which is huge. So the first bullet point says, characters are the weakest aspect of Virtua Fighter, and they want to change that with story mode and such. This game has been gone for so long, and the only people who remember it are people who played it back then. And that's such a small portion of players, and I wonder how will they try to make their characters iconic, their names legendary. Like if you think about Chun-Li and how she was brought into Fortnite and how that skyrocketed her popularity, they would have to do things like that in order to bring back their name. And also, story mode is a cool way to do it, but as we saw with Tekken, it has to be good. It has to look good, and it also has to make sense. Tekken's story doesn't make sense, and it does not hold up over time. People thought it was really cool at the start of the game. Now that we had a year to think about it, people aren't really liking the Tekken 8 story no more, and the story DLC made it even worse. The next bullet point, not treating it as an arcade game anymore, increased focused on story and characters. That's interesting. I feel like Tekken 8 kind of did that as well, like completely abandoning arcades. Street Fighter did it as well, Mortal Kombat. This is just what you have to do. This is 2024, basically 2025. Arcades is gone at this point. You need to be online, modern, good netcode, good everything. Story and characters is also really important, because if you really know the story, if you really know your characters, that can take on a life of its own. Another one says, want to please newcomers as well as veterans. Okay, that had me a little scared, the first 4 words, but then the last 4 words made me feel a little bit more safe. We heard the same kind of terminology from games like Street Fighter and Tekken, where they are just doing everything and anything to make the new players feel at home, and they're excluding the veterans. This game is saying as well as the veterans. So I'm interested to see what kind of mechanics they have, what kind of leaps they take. It's a weird way to satisfy both, but it's possible. And I don't know if Street Fighter done it yet. I know they're reaching more success than Tekken 8, and Tekken 8, in my opinion, definitely has not achieved that good balance. It says, another one, desire to renew Virtua Fighter's success the way Sega has with Sonic. That is true. There was a moment where Sonic was kind of like falling out. He was only like a Rule 34 type character. But they really brought back Sonic. The movies, the memes, shadow memes, like they really brought back the character, and he's like a part of the conversation again. And it shows. Once again, if you could do it with a character like that, you could do it with others. Sega, they have at least an idea of what works with Sonic, and they can apply that to other things. Another one says, respecting the legacy while looking to the future. Holy smokes. I really feel like they took note of what Tekken 8 is doing. It's the only way. It's the only reason why they would say something like this, is because they see, everyone sees what Tekken 8 is going through. And this is what I don't get about Tekken. Like, Tekken is doing all of this stuff to bring in casuals, but when you look up the game on Twitter, Reddit, whatever, you are just faced with a huge wall of players being dissatisfied. And how will you ever expect a new player to want to jump into that, like if they see it? The Virtua Fighter developers seems like they are trying to tackle that conversation before it even arrives. It says, another one, leaning into realism through environments. Teaser is a good depiction. This is something that I also was interested in by looking at the teaser. It's just the way that the walls was laid out. There was like chairs and garbage cans. It was stuff everywhere, like real life. And I wonder if someone is pushing you, let's say with a combo or whatever, can you fall behind the garbage can? Can you trip over the chair? How would that work? And they didn't show that in the teaser, and I'm wondering when the next trailer will come and how, will that be, right? Like, can you literally trip over obstacles, or how will they affect your combos? Because once again, connecting it to Tekken, in Tekken 4, this is something that Harada said he got pushback for. When he brought all these obstacles and stuff to Tekken 4, the criticism he got at the time was that it distracted from the core gameplay. So how will Virtua Fighter incorporate it and prevent it from being a distraction? Another bullet point, story aspects inspired by Kung Fu movies. I love that. I love that. I feel like Sifu did that as well, and they reached great success. Tekken went in the direction of like anime. They're going in the direction of like Kung Fu movies, which fighting games is like, they basically are. So I wonder how it will look different. Maybe I'll do a video when they come out, and I'll compare the two games story and like compare and contrast. I think that would be interesting. RRG will leverage its strengths, want to remove / alleviate perceived inaccessibility. So that is simplification. This by default is not wrong. It's not bad. The simplest way I could break it down is that fighting games was designed to be played on arcade sticks. It's a very different layout than what we're using nowadays, which is a PS5 controller. And I know a lot of people still use arcade sticks, hitbox, leverless, and all that stuff. But anyone who's buying a game for the first time ever, they're going to use a PS5 controller, even a keyboard. I think that when you think about how fighting games used to operate in arcades, it makes sense that they will try to modernize it and change the controls to fit PlayStation better, right? Certain buttons just feel unnatural and weird, and it makes sense to make it fit, PS5 controller a little bit better. And I think Tekken 8 did that in some instances, but then some instances like 2-2-2, 3-3, they made it super simple and they made it like bad. So once again, how will Virtua Fighter strike that balance of making it feel better on PS5, but not just throwing 2-2-2s and 3-3-3s everywhere? But also, Street Fighter with their modern controls, they did it kind of good. I like modern controls. I use modern controls all the time. You literally hold two buttons and you button mash another button and you do crazy stuff. But they reduce the damage, they limit your moveset, they do a lot of things to make it fair and also make classics superior. Tekken doesn't do that. It's Tekken 8, it's too effective. In Street Fighter, it's not as effective. And I wonder, how will this game strike the balance? Two more things. Story mode confirmed. We know that from looking at the bullet points above. But then they say also PC is confirmed, which that's already kind of like obvious as well, because they have Virtua Fighter 5 Revo on PC. It says arcade not planned, at least yet. Fair enough. I don't have anything wrong with that, because there is some places who still play arcades and whatnot, so might as well, Story aspects will explain why characters are fighting. Lore story elements inspired by real martial arts events. So that second bullet point is kind of like a GTA type thing. GTA has like heists and missions and stuff that's based off the movies like Heat, Sopranos, so for them to do that as well, one, I think that would be cool for like, comparisons, like you talk about memes on Twitter and stuff like that. It just will add another element to the game. Tekken, their story mode didn't really tap that deep into it. But then also when you talk about explain why characters are fighting, I love that. I feel like in Tekken, characters just beef with one another because that's just what they do at this point. Raven and Dragunov fight because that's just their character, right? Yoshimitsu Brian, Lily Asuka, there's no point to the fights anymore. The characters are just doing it. Give a real reason to the fight, add stakes to it, add progression to it. Don't just repeat the same cutscene every single game. 4 games on and you still have the same idiots battling each other with no progression. So I like that it really feels like a lot of the things that they're saying here is like learning from Tekken. And I wish this was the Tekken developers saying it, but this is why we wanted Virtual Fighters, because we wanted competition. We wanted those guys to compete with Tekken and force Tekken to be better. Virtual Fighter and Project Sentry are using different engines. Another bullet point, no need to have only 3 buttons anymore. I'm concerned about this, but maybe something like a stagger button would make sense if the mechanics is kept. So are they talking about kind of what I was suggesting, where the PlayStation controller has so many more buttons than the arcade sticks and you can do so much more with it? It sounds like that's what they're doing. The stagger, I have no clue. Ring outs remains. Not all stages, some are conditional. See teaser. Ring outs was always such an iconic part of a Virtual Fighter, and I love that they're still planning to incorporate it. I wonder how they will do it this time around with all of the new features, because sometimes some characters can very easily get a ring out and it's kind of busted in a sense. Like I feel like that's the same thing with Soul Calibur, where some characters can do it easier than others. But hey, maybe that's how the game's supposed to be, strength and weaknesses, right? Still a lot of iterations to go. No release date / window yet. Me personally, I think they would be it would be a bad idea to go up against GTA 6. They should definitely wait until after 2026, and I think even like or after 2025. I think deep into 2026, you want to get away from GTA 6. You release this game next to it, and it will just be straight up consumed. It will have nothing left of it. But that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.